10 years ago, Batman Arkham Knight released to the public, selling over 5 million copies. If you're like me, you probably remember impatiently waiting for the game's release. With each news piece and trailer that came out, the hype was insane. To this day, I can't think of another video game I was that excited for. I was on top of everything new about the game. Batman Arkham City perfectly set the groundwork for what was to come. I might sound biased when I say that not many video game companies today have managed to replicate this kind of setup in anticipation for a sequel, quite like Rocksteady did. In this video, we'll be going through the hype behind Batman Arkham Knight back in the day. With how revolutionary Arkham City was as a superhero game, Rocksteady had a lot of expectations set with their final game. Arkham City ended strongly with the Joker's death, and over a couple dozen sequel-baiting Easter eggs. The main subjects of discussion amongst fans involved Scarecrow, Hush, Azrael, and of course the Arkham Knight. Scarecrow was presumably eaten by Killer Croc in Arkham Asylum. He would end up being one of the 3 determinate after credits endings as a tease for the future. Arkham City doubles down on Scarecrow's future return with all the awe-inducing Easter eggs for him, most notably the secret bow confirming he's alive. Fans were already expecting Scarecrow to return for the next game as either the main villain or one of them. They had a pretty good idea he'd be working with other villains like Hush and Riddler, given we see his iconic fear gas in their hideouts. Azrael was the most mysterious of the bunch as he not only stalked Batman and definitely knows he's Bruce Wayne, but he pretty much spoils Arkham Knight's plot.
From the ashes of Arkham, the fires will rage and Gotham will burn. And you will burn too.
This sparked countless fan theories as you would imagine. Fans speculated that Knight would adapt the Nightfall storyline, and that Batman may even die. Of course, this didn't happen. Well, it almost did, but we don't talk about that game. Azrael was assumed to play a major role in Arkham Knight's story. Theories arose from Azrael being the Arkham Knight to him replacing Bruce after his death as the next Batman. Hush was also speculated to be one of the main antagonists of the game, teaming up with Scarecrow to take down both Bruce Wayne and Batman. The Arkham Knight being revealed as the titular antagonist of the game was the main topic of discussion for a year, with fans speculating a number of candidates, such as Jason Todd, obviously, Joker's son, a Batman clone made by Cadmus Labs, Damian Wayne, Talia, and heck, even Alfred. I, amongst most fans at the time, expected but hoped it wouldn't be Jason Todd. It would have been too easy and pretty dishonest of Rocksteady, which it sadly ended up being. Eventually, Rocksteady released the first cinematic trailer for the game, which had everyone stoked. The trailer perfectly displayed what the game would be about, Scarecrow and all of Batman's biggest villains finally teaming up to kill him and take over Gotham City, especially after they were at each other's throats in Arkham City. It also gave us our first cinematic look at the infamous the Batmobile, back when everyone had nothing but nice things to say about it. I remember there being concerns that sadly ended up being true about the Batmobile being overused in the game. Given how fans begged so much for the Batmobile, it's funny how things worked out. By the way, Rocksteady sure loved their car ads. Not long later, Rocksteady gave us their first gameplay trailer called Evening the Odds, showing us Batman in action inside and outside the Batmobile. The trailer ends with the Arkham Knight knocking down and holding Batman at gunpoint, which ended up being the most talked about scene by fans. The scene is noticeably at the Falcone shipping yard, while the actual scene is in the Miyagani tunnels. Makes you wonder what Rocksteady originally had in mind, or if they just thought it looked cooler for the trailer. Some theorize that someone might save Batman in this scene, since there is apparently a moving shadow in front of the Arkham Knight right here. Maybe someone from the Bat family or Azrael, but this is probably just a mistake by the devs. Heck, some fans even thought that it would be Red Hood that would save Batman in the scene, ironically enough, since as you can see the Arkham Knight is holding a suppressor, and the shot you hear at the end sounds like it would come from a louder gun, which Red Hood would be more likely to use. Next up, Rocksteady released their E3 gameplay demo, showing us a much clearer look at the gameplay they had cooked up. The demo begins with Batman suiting up in Wayne Tower, giving us our first-class first look at Gotham City and gameplay. Even to this day, this demo competes with a lot of modern games with its presentation and visuals, and this wasn't even the final game. It was a rare instance of the final game looking and functioning much better than what was shown. You can tell Rocksteady changed a lot when it comes to the sounds and visuals of the game, and even then they don't seem too bad. It would be cool if fans made a modded version of this playable. By the end of the trailer, we see an all too familiar screen glitch leading to Scarecrow's speech. It was a clever part on Rocksteady to add this in a scene where Barbara's kidnapping was mentioned. Also ironic since Batman had just talked to her in the demo.
Bruce, I found Penguin. He's got a weapons cache on the north end of Miyagani Island. The area is heavily protected by the Arkham Knight's drone forces. Be careful.
You can tell the demo is just a demo when you see the Diamondbacks blowing up with just one shot. Also, it really does amuse me just how enthusiastic Daxton was for the game when he showed it off.
So you can just kick ass as you move through the streets and defend Gotham in the way that Batman is destined to do. Look at that! Oh!
Yeah, what kinds of firepower?
I love that. Check out this missile barrage. Targeting 3 guys, take them out with 1 hit. I could watch it all day. I love that sequence.
It's no wonder you guys made so many tank missions. By the way, I like the tanks. The Harley Quinn and Red Hood story packs were marketed plenty as pre-order bonuses, which is a bit of a shame given how short they were. And speaking of which, you can tell Rocksteady only made and marketed the Red Hood DLC so people wouldn't guess the Arkham Knight's already obvious identity so soon. Rocksteady then announced their Series 1 action figure line, consisting of all the usual characters, but they sold Red Hood and the Arkham Knight as separate characters, as another subtle method to throw off identity suspicion. We even got some cool figures of thugs and villains in detective mode, which was pretty creative. The Ace Chemicals trailer gave us a real glimpse of what Batman would have been up against. The first trailer was pretty good, though the second one was just a promo for Batmobile World of Tanks. This had myself and fans really worried about Batmobile overuse. Funny how we were proven right. The third trailer was an improvement, though by the end it showed us another tank battle. Batman's line is badass here.
I'm going to show the Arkham Knight what happens when he messes with my city.
Though I prefer the actual cutscene we got. On the side, we got the Scarecrow Nightmare trailer, which, as an Xbox player, didn't excite me at the time, especially since it was clearly marketed as Batmobile content. Now, I don't mind the idea of the Batmobile being used in a Scarecrow Nightmare map, but really, we should have gotten an upgraded version of the challenge map from Arkham Asylum, where you have to last as long as possible before getting hit. But wait, what's that?
We're gonna need more tanks.
While people were theorizing who the Arkham Knight was, Rocksteady insisted he was an original character, which turned out to be a blatant lie. Now, I don't mean to hate on Rocksteady, but it was pretty misleading to claim he was an original character while promoting Red Hood's DLC, who was very much not an original character. But let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, and why. The Gotham is Mine trailer is by far my favorite of the game's trailers, aside from the cinematic trailer of course. It really sells Knight as a dark climactic conclusion to the Arkham series. It revealed Firefly as a returning villain, pretty much settling the debate over Arkham Origins being rightfully canon to the series. Overall, the trailer sold the game as Batman's biggest villains teaming up to kill him. I wouldn't necessarily call it false marketing since the villains did technically team up in the game, but they weren't as involved in the main story as the trailer implied they would. I don't have an issue with the villains being mainly side quests, but it does diminish how the trailers portrayed their team up, especially since they had a gang war in Arkham City, which could have really sold their union at night had it been more of a focus in the main story, of course. The trailer even had really easy to miss codes hidden throughout, which would lead you to some of the character bios, or persons of interest as they were called. Back when video game companies actually cared about their fans. The trailer also sold Arkham Knight as the first Batman game to have an M rating, further solidifying it as a dark finale to the series. I wasn't 17 at the time, but I was really excited. An M-rated Batman game to end off the Arkham series seemed perfect, though I had to convince my parents a little. Not many people bring this up anymore, but Rocksteady released these really short teaser trailers showing off the characters we'd end up playing as, namely Azrael, Catwoman, and Nightwing. By the way, I still think Nightwing's design is pretty underrated, even if the mask is a little weird. It works in case he were to get captured and his identity is at risk, which did happen. We got further looks into the characters' designs and their bios in the Persons of Interest website. The All Who Follow You trailer is still awesome, by the way. It really hits home the premise that Batman wasn't going to fight the Halloween threat alone, since his allies would be around to help him. Though sadly this was also technically false advertisement. I mean, look at this cool shot at the end. Robin and Nightwing don't even do that much in the main story, and you can't play as them in free roam, unless you glitch your way or have mods of course. It sucks since it's such a great trailer that hypes up Batman's allies to play bigger roles in Arkham Knight, especially after being able to play as Catwoman in the main story, and Robin and Nightwing in their respected DLCs and challenge maps. Not to dig on Rocksteady or Arkham Knight, but these trailers clearly hyped up more than what the game actually delivered. Joker returning was widely theorized by the community, especially after that recent Joker twist in Arkham Origins at the time. The signs that said Johnny Charisma Alive were interpreted as Joker is alive, which sort of turned out to be true, just not how we expected. Just like with the previous trailer, this one had small hidden codes throughout which led you to the Persons of Interest bios. That is, if you had the password to unlock them. Apparently, the non-English versions of the trailer removed Azrael saying,
Dark days are here, Batman. The prophecy has come true. From the ashes of Arkham City, the fires are raging, and Gotham is burning. I can see that same fire in your eyes. Before this night is through, that fire will consume you. Gotham will need a new savior, a new guardian, a new Batman.
Probably to avoid spoilers. I'm sure this had plenty of non-English players thinking Knight would adapt Nightfall because of that line. A short series called Arkham Insider would have the devs play the game, showing off their excitement and explaining way more details about it. I wonder how the world's most comfortable couch is doing, by the way.
On the world's most comfortable couch, and we're going to be giving you guys some rocksteady insight into this trailer, shot by shot, frame by frame. Let's have a look.
This live-action trailer was pretty sick, too. Even though the actual game doesn't delve into it, it's a cool theme that Batman inspires the Gothamites to stand up for themselves against crime, really selling the motto, "Be the Batman." The trailer has some neat hidden things in it too, the biggest example being a bat symbol showing up whenever one of the trailer's characters is going to do something big, really symbolizing Batman's influence in Gotham. The fire you just saw explode forms into the shape of the bat symbol. This is probably a subtle hint to the Firefighter and Firefly side missions in the main game. The basketball player has a tattoo of the bat symbol before his big game, and you can see it on the subway train's windows as citizens are about to stand up to the harassers. Also, I like to believe this Red Hood adds canon to the Arkhamverse.
Closing time?
Closing time.
Breaking news, Gotham's underworld is terrorized by the brutal Red Hood.
Overtime?
For the latest details.
Overtime.
A lot more bad guys are about to rest in peace. Play the Red Hood Story Pack only when you pre-order Batman Arkham Knight from GameStop. Play, trade, save, repeat. Rated M for mature.
The launch trailer released, and Gordon's monologue in the first half really cemented the possibility of Batman dying, but now that it's been 10 years, I like to believe Jim said this at Bruce's memorial after the game ended.
For the hero, the only true conclusion is death. The hero does not cower to death, for that would belittle life. The hero knows he cannot defeat danger, but for a moment, he can free others from fear. Let those left behind find hope in his sacrifice. Let those who knew him well speak of his fierce loyalty, unwavering convictions, and when the time came, his ultimate willingness to give all. Legends live on. Only man comes to an end.
The game then finally released on June 23rd of 2015, and overall fans like myself liked the game, although the biggest criticisms consisted of the infamous overuse of the Batmobile, mid-boss fights, and the predictable Arkham Knight reveal. I wasn't able to get the game till August, so I found out the Arkham Knight was Jason Todd pretty quickly. It was this video, to be exact, that spoiled it by popping up in my feed. I wasn't too upset since we all pretty much knew, though I would have liked to have seen it myself without spoilers. Looking back, it was the first media I was spoiled before being able to enjoy it. But the fun didn't end there. We had to wait for future DLCs in the upcoming months, and I will say it was fun waiting for them, even if they were barely 10 minutes long. By the way, there used to be a selection menu within the DLC option, but now it just leads you to the store. A bit of a shame, but oh well. Batman Arkham Knight didn't do as well or had the out-of-the-world hype that games like Witcher 3 and Halo 5 did, which is funny because Arkham Knight is better than Halo 5, but I and many others still remember the hype era fondly. It was a fun time to not only be a gamer, but a Batman fan.
Be the Batman! 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 Be the Batman!
Be the Batman.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. That way I will see you in the next video.